Good evening, guys, and welcome back to another edition here on the NE Patriots Talk channel. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. Thank you so much for taking this time to watch this live stream. Today, we're going to be talking about training camp, and after that, we will be getting into detail of the Kendrick Bourne video, which featured the Drake Maye workout down in North Carolina in full detail. But Rich isn't feeling well, so it's just going to be me and Paperwaves. How are we doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And before we get started, please make sure that you smash the like button and hit subscribe. It's completely free and helps supports the channel in a massive way. We appreciate that. But let's get this show started by talking about the PUP list, because that's going to be the most important part for training. Before we know that Matt Collins, Austin Hooper, Vidarian Lowe, and Jelani Tavai will be opening camp on the active or PUP list. So already know that he's recovering from a leg injury, but nonetheless, he was working with prize with Matt Collins. Austin Hooper, I was a little shocked about Austin Hooper being on a PUP list. What makes the Patriots want Austin Hooper?
It could be a couple different things. So he may actually have something. Sometimes this is a good opportunity for guys to get involved in camp early on that normally wouldn't have the opportunity. So we might see an uptick of Jaheim Bell. We might see an uptick of team. Bell obviously was a draft or 7th round pick last year, and currently our tight end room is looking like Jack Westover. Had it here just one moment, guys. Jack Westover, CJ Dupree, and G. Scott. And I believe that is everybody that we currently have in the room at the moment. That's not to say we still can't have anybody else brought in, but current training camp and just see how that leads for them. But Hooper, I can't imagine it being like a long-term thing for him. I think it's just take some time, get yourself right, and then we'll see you shortly, kind of thing.
Yeah, before we continue, it seems like everybody is saying in the chat that we're having wrong with your connection.
Is it on me?
Okay. So basically, Paperwaves is using it as background, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me see.
Okay. Wi-Fi.
They just want to see my house.
Yeah. But
give me 1 second.
Thanks for getting us your
attention, Thank
Luke
you.
And Andy.
All right, you get to see my dog chewing on the bone back there.
So that's fine.
That's all that's new. All right, hopefully that's
guys,
better.
How's our connection now, guys? Just wondering. But yeah, moving forward with the list, Vidarian hated players because of the amount of sacks he allowed. He is coming up. He has been dealing with injuries last season, so that's why we had disgusting to watch. But Jelani Tavai, we all know that he did have a leg injury during a mini camp, so that's why he's on the PUP list, I think. But we'll definitely talk about Tavai later on throughout this. Another player who's also on. Now we have a general idea of who's on the PUP list. The other player that surprisingly is not on the PUP list is Stephon Diggs, and we all know that Stephon Diggs suffered an ACL stick, and I don't know who the opponent was when he played for the Texans, but I know that he suffered an ACL tear, and this was actually Stephon Diggs' first major injury. Were you shocked that Stephon Diggs was not on the PUP list, considering that he has been making steady progress?
I think it's exactly that. Him having the steady progress, we signed him. He was working out at an extreme level. I think realistically, if we put him on the PUP, then we're drawing a big question of, will this go into week one? Will this take away from, time away from the team, or is this actually involvement, like taking him away from the scheme? Is this situation now, him being active, the best opportunity for him to continue to learn the scheme? He doesn't have to run every single drill, but he's doing all the walkthroughs. He's watching directly what to do until, rather, if he's already been physically cleared or about to be physically cleared. That's the main things that we're looking at right now for what the status.
It's fun. It's funny because he, at one point during his press conference or like an interview, say he may have some sort of experience with the Josh McDaniels office, because Brian Dable was one of our former coaches with the Patriots. He might be. Josh McDaniels may operate the same offense that Brian Dable ran in Buffalo, but I could be totally wrong. But
no, you're spot on. And the McDaniels' brother.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if he was like an offensive assistant or what, but he had a relationship with McDaniels' brother, which helped him feel comfortable coming here, along with working with the young player. And this is a chance for Diggs to show I'm still the guy. I still can be a guy. And if he comes in showing up him, essentially, it's definitely a great way, like, to show, I am who I say I am, and he thinks he's one of the best. So hopefully he can show he is one of the best for us.
That's the case for us, and hopefully he doesn't go down with the injury early on in the season, considering that he is coming off of a major injury. But and it includes Carlton Davis the third. No surprise. We have rookie undrafted free agent Josh Minkins and undrafted free agent Jeremiah Webb. So I don't.
Nor do I.
We do know that he is also coming off of a season-ending injury, which was a jaw injury. I think it was against the Bills, if I'm not mistaken. So, are you not surprised?
Really, this is also a thing where he was there at minicamp. He showed Fortune Foxborough here, so we got to see him at getting acclimated with the defense. This could be a situation where, hey, I got some family stuff away, but to avoid any kind of penalties or fines from the league, you got to put these guys on some of these lists. So if I don't know if it's kind of like taxes or whatever, but if something this guy, why is he not there, and penalties or something of that price could happen. That I don't totally know, but these lists are there for a reason, just to show, don't expect them there. And that's whatever. He's a reliable corner in this league. I think we're okay, and he'll probably show up next few weeks, or even when Pats come in, if they wants to wait till Pats shortly.
Mm-hmm. Also, it was reported last week, and I think that there were so many question marks on the second rounders, how the Texans and Browns were making waves in the NFL for giving fully guaranteed contracts to rookies. But now that Travion Henderson has tracked, how does it feel that Travion Henderson is now fully signed with the New England Patriots and potentially being active for training camp?
Yeah, I think it's definitely probably a great feeling to have overall. In his camp, I think for the team, it really doesn't make too much of a difference. I think the whole league was, what are we going to do here? Because when you have a team like the Texans, you have a team like the Browns try to set an example or set a precedent of what they're trying to do going forward and make this a new thing. We're going to start giving second rounders fully guarantees. You're kind of holding everybody against their will, that they're going to now have to do the same thing. So thankfully we got this done for him. I think he's been involved. He didn't pull a Shamar Stewart. He's out there each week, putting in the work. No worry if you didn't see him in, we're going to talk about it later, but the Kendrick Bourne video, we didn't see Chisholm there. We didn't see a couple of these other guys there either. It's just how it goes sometimes. It's your first off season before you are officially a pro. Sometimes you're just not at little things like that. But he was there at minicamp. He's going to be here at training camp, and we're going to see what happens next we have.
Yep. Now let's transition over. Now that we have a general idea of who won't be in attendance, who won't be let's now transition over to the expectations we should be expecting for training camp. And one of the biggest ones is Drake Maye, considering that this is his second year in the NFL, hoping that he shouldn't have a sophomore slump. He is operating with Josh McDaniels, and we all know Josh McDaniels' track record and his offense as Patriots fans. So how do you think Drake Maye would thrive under Josh McDaniels, considering that this is his first time these two worked together?
I think as much time as they've had, when it was reported that McDaniels was hired, they can't talk scheme initially for league rules, so they can't come in. McDaniels can't get hired and say, hey, we're going to run exactly this. I'm going to do exactly this, and this technically for you. I believe it was just ensured to him that everything that we have done this off season, it is a testament to Drake Maye. We saw all the flashes of him this past off season, or not past, this past season, and for us to feel good, comfortable, and excited as fans, what little that we saw, to see the team now put in that support for him is exciting. And McDaniels as OC is honestly, it was him or got Vrabel. We all love Vrabel. We're all happy Vrabel is here. To get McDaniels here, I think the big misconception of him is the dink and dunks that we saw in the late stages of the Brady career. McDaniels is as versatile as it gets. I mean, we saw what happened, how he switched the offenses with Cam Newton. We saw him switch the offense to Mac Jones. We saw him switch it to Matt Castle when Brady went down. We've seen it with Jimmy G, Jacoby Brissett when Brady has his suspension for unfortunate Deflategate and all that massive hysteria. But thankfully, we've learned throughout the years, no disrespect to him, he's not a great head coach. But what we have seen and can trust in him is that he is a great OC. 20 years, like we saw, let's say 20 years, that's Bill Belichick. But as much time as he's been within the Patriots franchise through off and on, it's been great to have him here. He wants to be here. And personally, I don't think he plans to be a head coach again. So that only means one good thing and Drake Maye. And that just means we're going to keep building this, and we're going to try to make this offense the best it can be for you. And let's hope that's going to be the answer and results we see this upcoming season.
Yeah, I love Josh McDaniels, even though people will criticize him for his tenure with Denver and Las Vegas. And don't get me wrong, these two organizations at the time were dumpster fires because they have no idea what you're going to expect out of Josh Well, Las Vegas is a whole different story because they already knew what they got of Josh McDaniels being a shitty head coach, as we all know. And people will criticize him for saying when it comes to the office because he had Tom Brady. And people will say his tenure with the St. Louis Rams under Steve Spagnuolo, they will talk about, but Cam Newton, with what's left of Cam Newton, the rookie Mac Jones, getting a Matt Castle to where he should be, even though they didn't make the playoffs, at least they had a good winning record at 11-5. So
right.
You had to basically Josh McDaniels who had to adapt with nothing, basically. Like, he had to adapt with wide receivers who led the league at one point, who were dead last in separation and led the league in drops. And speaking of wide receivers, that's what we're going to be discussing next. So, like, now we have, I wouldn't say like a different group of wide receivers, considering that we now have Kyle Williams, we now have Stephon Diggs, we have Matt Collins. We're bringing back Kendrick Bourne. We're bringing back Kayshon Boutte, Pop Douglas, blah, 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 blah. What are expectations for the wide receivers now that we have different bodies, whether it's veterans or rookies?
I think the main thing that we should be looking forward to and excited as fans is the veteran chemistry that we're going to – veteran leadership, I should say, from Diggs. He has this misconception that all that stuff is kind of in the past, I'd say, for him. I think he's looked to turn a new leaf the moment he went to Houston. And when he got to Houston, he was named a captain. We have Todd Downing as the wide receivers coach. He has never been a wide receivers coach. But what I believe Todd Downing is going to do is rely on the vets that we have brought in Matt Collins and Stephon Diggs, and even look to Kendrick Bourne as an olive branch as well. Help me get these younger guys up to speed. We only have in the league on this roster, we have Boutte, Douglas, Williams, Polk, and Baker are the other guy, and obviously Chisholm as well. And a couple of the other guys that, look, this is the main group here that we're focusing on. That is really them getting these guys up to speed, getting them familiar, getting them with the program of expectation. This is where you need to be to succeed in this league. Let's have calendars. How are we going to build a proper chemistry with the quarterback? And when and where is the right time that we need to be on the field, our placements, because we saw a lot of issues last year of AVP having to stop. All right, we got to correct ourselves and figure this out. And then before you know it, training camp's over because we did the set were not where they were supposed to be. This is the time where these guys know the playbook. They're going to get you where you need to be. And once you are where you need to be, are you making catches? Are you showing reliable like reliable play throughout. You're making the effort. You're making the catches. You are doing everything you can to show you belong. And then if we get all those guys up to speed and are competing, we're going to be in a good spot. Competition only makes us better. And we've got what 5-6 guys here that are feel pretty confident that Douglas is locked. Then the rest of the receiving room, I think, is all up in the air. We don't know if Booty is a trade option. We don't know. We don't really know any of that stuff at this point. And we know we have a guy like Chisholm, a UDFA, who all in Edelman be our unsung hero and somebody we can praise. But I think ultimately we're going to get to where we need to because of the vets, because of Todd Downing relying on the vets that we have here. So, sorry, long tangent. I went a little longer on that one, but
no, that's fine. I was going to say that when it comes to the wide receiver room, I'm glad you brought up all of this. We understand that Todd Downing has never been a wide receivers coach. I know that during his time with Minnesota and obviously in Tennessee, he was the tight ends coach. So my thought process was like he could have been a tight ends coach, but it's a whole different story. At least he's relying on veterans and Josh McDaniels to at least guide him to like how he could like develop the wide receiver. So that's going to be beneficial for Todd Downing, and especially that all these younger wide receivers like Chisholm and Kyle Williams, we know the potential they could be. The question is how well they can thrive in pads, in joint practices, and also in preseason games, because it will help us dictate of how this wide receiver room is going to look like moving forward. And another position that is also a big question besides the wide receiver room is the offensive line. Considering last season we led the league in so many. We were dead last in so many categories when it comes to the offensive line, when it comes to like sacks, penalties, quarterback hurries, and also in different offensive line combos. Is this going to be the year where we have a more consistent offensive line from training camp to the preseason to the regular season?
I think so. And the main reason for that is having a guy in Doug Marrone be our offensive line coach. The guys that we have underneath here, I'm going to butcher their names if I'm not looking at it. So 1 second, I have it pulled up right here. We have Jason Hautling and then Robert Kugler are his assistant offensive line coaches. We saw them. If you have not checked it out yet, please do. Forged in Foxborough, part 2. They were heavily involved in coaching pretty much everybody under the sun. Caden Wallace, City So, obviously Will Campbell, and we're seeing a good solid communication across the board for everybody, from the players to coaches like the positional coaches to the head coach to the OC to who like getting. One thing I'm very happy with right now is leadership between Morgan Moses, Mike Onwenu, who's been with the team, I'd say probably the longest. If I'm on that fence of saying I think he has been with our team, our offense, the longest out of any player. And having those guys who've been there, done that. Onwenu was pretty much a coveted free agent signing for us. He was our offensive line for 2 years, and then of course last year was not fun for everybody. I think, and then we bring in Will Campbell, who I personally has been my dude since I first saw him watching Jaden Daniels tape. You can attest to that. I've you've seen me numerous comments and numerous arguments with people that I firmly believe that he's got all the traits. There's not really much in his game that deters me of him being having to switch to left guard. I think he can be a serviceable left tackle for us. And I say serviceable, I mean that for this season. I think he's a guy that wants to continue to grow, continue to bust his ass to be the player he wants to be and the player the team needs him to be. That's his mindset. That's his attitude. And look, if it really ends up not working out, whatever. He'll go to left guard, but he wants to be the best he can be. That being said, he's a leader. He wants to be what Morgan Moses is showing to these young guys. He's going to be that guy for our line, no matter what position he's playing for us. So we have 3 guys potentially long term to be leaders for us. That's now figuring out what are we doing with left guard. What is our options at center? We're not going to know the first few weeks. I'm going to tell you that right now, everyone. The main reason for that is we don't know anything until Pat's here with offensive line. Really, we can see Will Campbell shut out whoever he's going up against and think, oh my God, we have our guy. But then Pat's come on, wait, what happened to that guy 3 weeks ago? These are things that we got to keep in the back of our minds when we're watching these, or if you guys happen to be going to training camps. We just have to be prepared. Pads are everything for what we will eventually translate to see. We're just getting more familiar and seeing what has been advertised to us from OTAs, from all the media coverage that cover the team. That being said, I think the offensive line is going to make significant improvements because of the guys that we brought in and with the coaching staff. Maroon has tons of years of experience. The guys that he has throughout the team, player to coach, and I'm not saying we're going to be the most improved offensive line, but from what we have watched the last few seasons, it is going to be a significant improvement.
Yeah, it better be a significant improvement considering that we were dead last in so many categories
Right.
for the past 2 seasons.
Right.
It will be not only the pads will be an ultimate test, joint practices will also dictate of how well we can first preseason game, and then we're gonna fly over to Minnesota for another joint practice. So basically, these kind of matchups for the offensive line are going to be very, very crucial throughout the entire training camp process. So they're going to be super crucial for us, and it will all depend on coaching. It will depend on these veteran leadership, considering we had none last season, even though Scott Peters has injuries under center. So that's going to be a huge important for us. And let's now transition over to the defense when it comes to expectations. As we all know, Terrell Williams has been MIA because of a medical scare back home. What are our expectations for the defense without Terrell Williams? We know that Zach Kerr has been taking over as the defensive play caller, but when will time tell when Terrell Williams comes back, and unless Mike Vrabel makes the call in tomorrow's press conference?
Right. During his press conference, I think we're gonna have he's already here. We've already got the ball rolling. He's already talked to a couple of the guys X, Y, and Z. Or it's going to be a situation where, look, we got to pivot. If that means I have to take over doing defensive play calling, or if I have to promote Zach Kerr to be our interim DC, that may have to be a direction we go. Everything I have heard, though, he's been pretty gung-ho that he's going to be back for training camp. So I, like you and hopefully everyone here, want him to be there, to see what his defense is going to be. He's been in the league for so long. I want to say since '98, at coaching, and whatever situation he has going on, I hope if he still has it going on, I hope for speedy, continued recovery. I hope this isn't something that lingers for a long time, and hopefully for his health. That's number one. We as football fans can, be saying, why the heck isn't he here? That's not fair to him. He's a human being just like you and I, rather talking on this or watching from home. He is, if he can't be there, he just can't be there, and it's unfortunate. But let's hope he is there. And if he is there, I think this is going to be, an exciting turning point for our defense. We're going to see a leadership, a guy that's been coaching much longer than Covington had. It's late to him, but we're going to see a experience, a guy that, he may not have previously been a DC, but he has been a guy that numerous teams have just said, like, dude, why don't you do it? Why? Like, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. It was more of a situation, to my knowledge, he just said that's what he was best at. So why, if it's not fixed, why break it? And I think this is just the chance that I'm ready to spread my wings and go ahead and be a DC. I don't think I want to be a head coach. I want to just be a DC. Like McDaniels, we can have him be a long-term DC. Like, I think that's great that we can continue to develop coaches underneath these guys and also have familiar faces for our players for a long time. So let's hope he is back. And if he's not, we'll just keep praying for him and hope he can return as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm praying that's the case, because defensive line coach with Mike Vrabel, and this previous season he was the defensive line coach for Detroit. So basically, he has a track record of how many defensive linemen he has worked with. He's worked with Jeffrey Simmons. He's worked with and now that you have Barmore and Milton Williams to be those type of guys. When it comes to the defense, last season we knew that we would take a step back when it comes to the defense, but we didn't realize it was gonna be a huge step back, to the point that we were not like in the top 10 category when it comes to the defense, when it comes to stopping the run, when it comes to coverage, when it comes to the pass rush.
Right.
What are our expectations with a newly revamped defense, since we took advantage of the free agencies, we took advantage of the draft?
So I just hope in like a James Bond or Mission Impossible scene where we fall off the cliff and you're like, oh crap, like he died, and somehow, some way, he's shooting up with an airplane and it's Mike Vrabel, the pilot, and we're back to being decent or something of that sort. I think in general, man, with the defense, it's one of those situations that can only go up from here. Same thing was said for the offensive line. It can only go up from here is what we hope. We brought in, I think when the draft came around, a lot of people were saying, look, we got to get so-and-so that can play edge, or this guy or that guy. We brought in so many defensive players. I was like, the offense needs love, and thankfully that was our approach primarily for the draft. But with Carlton Davis, with Milton Williams, with Spillane, with Jack Gibbons, with the draft, with our draftees and Braden Swinson, with Farmer, as well as my golden god. I don't know exactly where he's going to play, if Duggar and Peppers are there. I think he's a brilliant IQ. But let me get back to the initial question here. I think ultimately we've got a lot of potential, a lot of hype, and if with good coaching, with a good presence in mind, and a good leader out of Mike Vrabel to inspire this defense, that we need to be a nasty, violent team, that teams are shocked when they actually get up and go play against us, like the Titans were for so many years. I think you would watch a tight Vrabel has done for years. So let's hope that can translate to our team, and I'm excited. I think they're definitely going to be the best part of what we have going on, and I hope we can really surprise some teams this year.
Yeah, definitely, because considering that it did play a factor that we did have the last two seasons, we did have the hardest schedules, but that, even though we had so many bad rosters, the defense was good in so many categories with basically nothing. Even though we had Gonzalez, we had Judon for majority of it, but now that we revamped when we took advantage of free agency, we took advantage of draft. Even though people like to focus on these big names, the names don't generally mean anything as long as you have like then that's really good.
Right.
But let's not.
You can have a bunch of names, but we say, if you can have all the names that you want, but the Philadelphia Eagles years ago had like the nastiest corner room on paper, and then when the season came, it just was not what anybody expected it to be. I'm blanking on all. It was Asante Samuel. Was the dude from the Raiders that has a bunch of kids. And there's like two other guys that like made that secondary insane, and it just didn't translate, unfortunately. I'd rather us have guys that we can view that will gel together, like having Milton Williams and Barmore on the inside. Scary. If I'm center or left or right guard, having to know these guys are going to rush me at any time, knowing that they're very similar in play style. And then now we're trying to figure out what we're doing on our edge side with Keon White, with Harold Landry, with Anthony Jennings, with these other guys that are going to. Somebody is stepping up here, because having a guy like Milton Williams in the middle here with Barmore, having a guy with similar bringing in here, even he doesn't get enough love, I don't feel, but Chase coming from the Raiders, previously from the Jags, he's shown a lot of flashes, especially last year with the Raiders. Like, he stepped up huge. If he's somebody that can come in and get to the quarterback a ton, like, it's only helping having a guy like Milton Williams, having all these guys helps the next level, helps the linebackers, helps the secondary pipeline of the hopeful success and hopeful, touchdowns and points on the board for us. So,
yeah, definitely. Now we have a general idea of what the expectations for at least the positions and players look like. Let's now transition over to the most important positional battles, especially the weaker positions, considering that I was disappointed in a couple of areas. I was disappointed
in the whole draft, or just like
towards the back three,
okay.
Considering that even though we did get a kick, there were reports that we are bringing in more kicker competition. Like, what are your thoughts on like bringing in some like undrafted rookies to bring in?
Yeah.
Like, a kicker?
So I saw that as well. So really, that's more of absolute insurance. So we go into this with our kicker. I made it in front of me. Do you know his last name off the top of your head? Andres
Bogales.
Bogales, thank you. So Bogales and Parker Romo. So where we know we're going to go with who we drafted, but that means we're not going to keep two kickers. So we're going to be cutting Parker Romo. Parker Romo, I think, is decent enough that he might sign to a team that their kicker just wasn't cutting it. Especially if he shows any flashes for us, like, everybody knows we're going to keep a rookie. So say that happens, and say our rookie tears his ACL, or he has a major injury, or something freak catastrophic could happen. You need somebody on speed dial, and if one of these guys comes through, dude, that guy nailed almost every kick, or like he almost got a 50-yarder. We work with him a little. One of these guys might end up being our practice squad kicker, and might be called up in case of emergency break class kind of thing. I wouldn't stress too much on that kind of thing. It's just
but even though we drafted a kicker, we drafted another offensive tackle just because we need an insurance. Like, if Will Campbell goes down, we at least have a backup. Considering that we did need a long snapper, but I was disappointed when we drafted Kobe Minor instead of drafting like a knee. Okay. Like, I would have gotten like a tight end, or maybe a left.
There was Kobe Bryant. There's like Kobe Bryant, not Kobe, but rest in peace. But like Kobe Bryant was his name, out of I think Kansas. He was a corner. A lot of people. Hopefully, I'm not saying the wrong name. I'm going to feel like such a jerk. I'm trying to learn all the guys for this upcoming draft now. Regardless, the dude that was out of Kansas this past year, everybody was pounding the table. We got to take him. We got to take him. And clearly we didn't. We went with Kobe Minor. Kobe Minor, from everything I heard about him, no, he wasn't like the best player on their team, but he was Mr. Reliable. Like, for whatever reason, game's on the line or like we need a big pass. So I think there's a lot of aspects to his game that, it's worth just taking him in to see what we can get out of him. Apparently, he's a good locker room leader. Apparently, a lot of his teammates and coaches have a high praise for him. So if that's a reflection of what they're trying to draft, minus a couple of like arguments with coaches or little things out of like nitpicking stuff that aren't really huge in my opinion, all the guys who brought in here are here to be leaders for us or try to eventually become leaders for us. So
yeah,
we'll see if he makes it. Who knows?
The positions that we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on is definitely going to be left guard and the tight end 2 or 3, maybe, considering that there's going to be so many question marks when it comes to like who's going to be the backups to Austin Hooper, Hunter Henry, considering that you have 4 good candidates who could be the tight end 3.
Right.
Out of these 4 candidates, who do you think could have the potential to be the pre?
I feel like Dupree is going to have the most. I'm going to say he's going to have the most upside, the most stock probably within the team. He was one of our first UDFAs that we brought in along with Chisholm, along with Larison. There's definitely a high intrigue with him. I'm pulling up the guys that we have here just so I don't want to leave anybody hanging here. So I can try to go through off the top of my head everything I know about him. So Abel, unfortunately, has had drop issues from what was reported in OTAs. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. But what I can tell you is what was reported to me, he had some drop issues, and some people are unfortunately concerned about that. He was in the four. I'll save that point for later. He is kind of a versatile enough guy that can switch from running back to. We saw a lot of different Swiss Army knife things he did in Florida State that you're intrigued by him, but it's can he get? He's got a good size to him, 6'5", 256, comes out of Alabama. I just personally feel like if they're gonna roll with him, it's gonna be more than like kind of like who's a good comparison for this? Like the Giants tight end, I am blanking on his name, but he does exactly what I'm thinking, where it's primarily blocks and then or Dalton Schultz. So that's even better. We'll do Dalton Schultz, where it's like he's primarily blocking is his main strength, but he'll occasionally get out there and get some good receptions out of it. And G. Scott. G. Scott's not talked about a lot. He does come from Ohio State, but he's kind of in that same realm of Jaheim Bell, and I think that's somebody that's like kind of warming Jaheim Bell's seat a little bit. Not to say both of those guys is a definite lock for either of them, but he does a lot of similar traits to what Jaheim Bell does, and he also went to the same college Fragel came from. Finally, Westover, kind of a little bit in the same boat. I think he had good. He's got good run blocking. I don't remember much on him in the receiving aspect. I would have to kind of refresh my memory on that. Really, we're hoping one of these guys can come through. I know some people are probably saying like, we could get Noah Fant. We could try to trade for Kyle Pitts. Noah Fant, I don't think has cut it this far along. He's had a couple flashes of decent seasons. I think he had one really good season, I want to say 2-3 years ago. But every other year, it's kind of the same result of mid to mediocre production. Like we're talking like 700 to like maybe not 600 yards, like a couple catches here and there, not reliable catches either. Kyle Pitts, it's as much of a sexy name as it is. Like that's kind of all he is just a name. I at this point, from what we've seen with him with the Falcons, like if we can blame coaching for there all we want, but like he's got to be like, yo, give me the ball. And I don't know if they're not doing that enough for him, or if there's something going on with Pitts that why is he not as much of a star as he was to be the fourth overall pick that draft. So we could potentially bring somebody else in for sure, but right now this is just the time. Maybe one of these guys can step up. Maybe one of them surprises us, and you just never see coming.
Especially because I felt like since our tight ends are getting up in age, it doesn't help to like maybe like draft or maybe bring in a free agent tight end just so that at least you have an insurance policy, because you at least have the ability for like to block or maybe be a pass catcher, blah blah blah, be the type of guy. So it doesn't hurt, but I felt like, well, I think like next season we could draft a tight end, but I don't know.
Yes, I was just about to say that.
And also possibly free agency is gonna be a big hectic because there are so many like tight ends that I want. Like we could get like a Okonkwo who was with Mike Vrabel, because I don't know what Tennessee's gonna be doing, but we'll discuss that in like as time goes on, like this upcoming offseason. But another position that has so many question marks is left guard. We have so many guards, but we have zero clue of who is going to be like your starting role. Is Cole Strange on the hottest of seats? Is Layden Robinson going to
his final year
into the role under Mike Vrabel? And and is City So going to be redeeming himself after his piss poor performance?
Right. So City So zero usage at all last year, and I don't know if it was just something within the coaching that he just didn't fit, if there was hope that they could move him and deals just didn't fall through, or if he just isn't the guy for what AVP and his offense was looking for. We bring in Layden Robinson last year, and Layden Robinson played a ton. Like I felt like he was getting better as the season went on. But it was surprising in OTAs he wasn't playing with the ones. He wasn't getting more reps with the higher ranking spots. Then we brought in a guy named Tyrese Robinson as well. It's going to probably the Robinsons we're on keep getting mixed up. But he comes from the Bills, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. I want to say
he was with the Eagles. He was with the Vikings through a through a practice squad.
Gonna bother me, but while you're looking that up, he's somebody I've been hearing mentioned that he showed a lot of good flashes out in OTAs. But it's one of those things. Going back to it, we got to see what these guys really do with pads. Yes, Cole Strange. Let's just go ahead and talk about him, because he's kind of everybody's automatic number one right now. I can't say for sure he will be, but what I can say is say he is our left guard. This is your last year to prove it to us. There's no, we can give you a 5th-year option. I think honestly, I don't even know if that deadline's already hit or not. But if this is your shot for you to get another contract with us, and injuries have played a big part of it. He wasn't brought in here like he wasn't dealt the best hand. You get drafted first round when probably his own agent, probably everybody in the room when he got drafted probably was expecting him to be a 2nd or 3rd, maybe a day 3 pick. I don't think that's totally fair for us to like throw all of our knives and get our pitchforks ready for this guy for a position he didn't ask for, or a position. No, everybody wants to be drafted high, but you've also been put on this pedestal that you're going to be the next best offensive lineman, and that's not fair to him if he really needed time to develop. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. He's shown great flashes when he's healthy. That is the biggest thing, though, is when he's healthy, which shouldn't be a thing that we should be saying. He should be out there on the field. That's what we should be saying. But unfortunately, he's had two major injuries that's ended both of his seasons. And then finally, we see him last year, and he's playing center. Now we just drafted a center. So really, dude, what is your future here? It has got to be left guard. Like, we drafted Jared Wilson. Jared Wilson, if Garrett Bradbury ends up doing great, I mean, Jared Wilson also played guard in college too, a little bit here and there. So, like, who's to say if he does your job even better in camp that Jared Wilson could switch over? That's another name you're throwing in the hat. I personally wouldn't do that, though. I would keep it as the guards are the guards, the centers are the centers. Jared Wilson, if he's not ready there yet, Bradbury it is. We're gonna make sure we're getting Wilson ready into the season. We might transition to him later on. But when it comes to guards, so I think he's gonna get a lot more usage. I think we can also maybe consider seeing Caden Wallace switch over and play guard. He already played left tackle briefly for us last year before getting hurt. Maybe, hey, whatever. He was projected to be a guard anyway. Let's go ahead and give this a shot and see if he's better at being a left guard for us. We don't know until we see it, and pads are going to play the biggest part in determining who's going to be our guy. We have options, not the best options, but we're going to find out here shortly. So
yeah, it'll depend on training camp because we know that Doug Merrill can actually make these kind of adjustments to the offensive line because we have a general idea of who's going to be left tackle, center, right guard, and right tackle as long as all of them stay healthy. Because the problem is depth could be a hindrance considering that we do have some depth on all sides of the offensive line. The question is if health is going to be the case. And Chris, we did mention this off stream that we could have bring in Brandon Sheriff as an insurance policy, but
yes, thank you.
One candidate to secure the 90 man spot.
So if we were to cut somebody, who would it be?
Yeah, it has to be one of the offensive linemen because I don't know much of Mekhi Butler. I don't know much of those other.
If Scherf was going to come here, it's for a decent contract. He's holding out till a team is in bad enough shape that, like, hey, we definitely need you. That's going to be what everybody's probably like. Why is Keenan Allen not signed? Why is Amari Cooper not signed? What's going on with Asante Samuel Jr.? There's reasons these guys aren't on teams yet. They're holding out for the best thing. Or Asante Samuel, who I've mentioned, he's got an injury. Like, and until teams really know for sure you're good to go, they're not going to come like throwing money at you. Sure, if it's kind of that same situation that I was mentioning earlier, I think he's just hanging loose. Somebody's going to call. They're going to need me. And if they don't, all right, cool, I'll go fishing or do whatever I want to do to kill my time until I am needed. He is at 33, if I'm not mistaken, so he's a little bit on the older side. I would love him. If I'm not mistaken, I thought he primarily was a right guard with Jacksonville, so I don't know if he could make the switch to left guard comfortably. I just remember his name from getting drafted, and you said 2015's draft right now because I got
to the Commanders, and that he was drafted the Commanders.
Then he went
7th season with the Commanders, and then he played last 3 seasons with Jacksonville.
With Jacksonville, right. So I can't remember. I know he was somebody they talked about maybe being a tackle, and he was immediately a guard kind of situation, opposite of what we're seeing with Will Campbell. But he's been a good player. I mean, it's just who knows what's going on. If we could get him in, I'd be very happy. Just another a guy with experience, another potential leader for us. That'd be great. To real quick though, you had mentioned Maroon. There's one guy that we still have on our roster here that don't think it's talked about enough. Jack Conley out of Boston College worked directly with Maroon last year. He's 6'7", so he does have like a center build. I think it's a similar situation with Will Campbell. He's got the dreaded shorter arms thing. I think it's more of a technique aspect of why he's more viewed as a guard. But ultimately, he's played in almost every position that Boston College asked him. It was right. We need you at right. We need you at right tackle. We need you kick inside. Anything that they've ever asked of him, he's been a good soldier for Marone to get done for him. So he's somebody to keep in mind. I can't say for sure he'd be a left guard. I don't know if they would want to go that young, having Campbell and having him work side by side. But he's definitely somebody I would look to keep for, hey, we're going to need you at left tackle this week. Hey, we need you at, if anything happens, he's there for everybody. But just somebody to keep in mind for Jack Conley.
Chris has a really good question, and I know we recently signed this guy, and we did have this guy for some time and it has to do with your Sir Duran. So,
yeah,
is it possible that he could be a cut candidate, or maybe he has the potential to at least be in the practice squad?
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't even rule him out. Like, I mean, we signed him. There's a potential. Hey, he did well enough with the DC Defenders. Not that UFL says too crazy much, but I mean, it's still football, and he showed enough flashes that we wanted to bring him back. I know he's somebody I kind of glossed over, but it's more of we'll see when we see. I think us bringing him in, he's already a familiar face. He's already worked. If I'm not mistaken, he worked with McDaniels. His last year was the MAC year that we had Duran, I believe. Hopefully, I'm not spitting nonsense here, but so I think that was the last year. Last year we had McDaniels, or leading into it.
Yeah,
yes, because the COVID year was okay. So we got a brief glimpse of him with McDaniels through camp at that time. Hey, maybe it'll work out this time as well too. 1 second here, guys. I gotta get my dog to lay down. Hold on.
So yeah, with your Sir Duran, he was great as a UFL in the UFL league as a left tackle, but when he played with us as a right tackle, he didn't do much with the team. But if he has the potential to be our left tackle, could be like a backup to Will Campbell or maybe Marcus Bryant, that could be great. But at the same time, as a right tackle, he didn't do well, if I'm not mistaken.
It all depends, man. And it's sometimes you just get thrown into a bad situation. You also got to look into who was playing along beside him, what were the circumstances of the game, or how frequently he played at that spot too. So I'd have to go back and really review the film of the time we had him here. I'm intrigued to see what he would do, because I think him going to the UFL team. And if he had a good enough season with the DC Defenders to be, I think, really one of 18 guys, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think there was that many UFL guys that ended up getting spots this year. Might even be less than what I'm projecting. But he was one of the few guys that came through UFL that's getting a shot with a practice to make a team. So hopefully, I'm wishing him. Most of these guys, I just want somebody to succeed. I don't care. Somebody just do something. So I can tell you everything I kind of know about them. I'm not a full expert on every single guy here, but I think he's worth a shot. That's all I can say.
Yeah, definitely. Let's now head over to the defense, and we got a general idea of what the competition is going to look like for the offense. For the defense, safety and cornerback are definitely crowded, and there's so much good talent in the secondary. However, depth is going to be a bit of an issue for corner. Let's talk about corner. So we have a general idea of who our starting four is going to be. If one of them goes down, who would take over, given the list of cornerbacks we have outside of Gonzo, Davis, Austin, and Marcus Jones? So basically, there's some names that I don't know much of. There's Miles Battle, who spent that final game in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Against Buffalo. We have Marcellus Dial, the 6th rounder last season. We have who is it? The undrafted no, not the undrafted. The Mr. Irrelevant Kobe Minor. And then we have Jordan Polk. And then Isaiah Bolden.
I think DJ James as well too. This guy DJ James. I'm not too familiar on him. Brandon Crossley is another one too. I'm not sure if he got mentioned.
Yeah, I think Crossley is on the list, but any of these unknowns, or maybe like if Dial or who else? Bolden could have like a shot to be like cornerback 5, because we know what happened to Isaiah Bolden during that preseason game against the Packers, and then Dial during his performance during OTAs and whatnot. So, what are your thoughts?
I think so we definitely know it's going to be Gonzo. We definitely know Davis, Marcus Jones for sure. Marcellus Dials, he did good for special teams for us last year. I mean, we didn't see too much of him actually play his listed position at corner. He was primarily on special. Miles Battle, he really did show well his last 3 games, because I shouldn't say that because we didn't do too well in those games, but like he at least showed decent ability to like guarding and holding his own. I think Gonzo missed week 18 as well with a concussion, or maybe I want to say that was a concussion game or it was just rest. Getting myself mixed up here. The Battle, he stepped up. I remember him doing the seatbelt move and everything, saying he's locking guys down. He's intriguing to me, especially for us to bring him back on a contract to see what's up. Kobe Minor, look, a lot of people, like you had mentioned earlier, and I'm glad you had said that. Look, I know it's a confusing pick. He's just a guy that it might be worth a shot. He might be like like Butler for us in the Super Bowl. He might just be that guy that just right place, right time, makes that play, and now we're like, who is this dude? And then it turns out he can actually play, and just nobody is that aware of him. I'll be honest, there's really not even that much consistent tape on, just a couple highlights here and there. Everything I've seen, everybody likes him. He's somebody I think they would maybe consider. Isaiah Bolden, that kick return ability, we just want to see it. Because we all hear about it, we all know he's good, but we've not consistently seen him do like actually be a returner for us. So I'd like, if we're going to keep him, it'd be nice. I don't know even really realistically his own corner ability at this point. I feel like he's just always been on the shelf or just not utilized properly. So my guys that I think would make it, I'm gonna try to be brief because I know you guys have already done this, but it's gonna definitely be Gonzo. It's gonna be Carlton Davis. It's gonna be Marcus Jones. I feel pretty good about Marcellus Dial for the special team utilization we saw from him last year. We spent that draft pick on him, and I am very torn between Bolden, Battle, and did I mention Alex Austin already?
No, I think Alex Austin is definitely a lock.
Yeah. I thought Alex Austin's on here. I didn't mention him. I apologize. Alex Austin, but I want to say it's between Miles Battle and Bolden would be the last 2 spots. So that's Austin, Gonzo, Davis, Marcus Jones, Marcellus Dial, and between Battle and Bolden. That's kind of what I'm looking at right here. I just don't know too much on the other guys personally. I can't really say for sure what they would be, but they just versatility is what Vrabel's looking for.
Yeah, definitely. And same with the safeties. We have a general idea of what the safety room is going to look like. And I watched the AFC East roundtable. Out of all the teams in the AFC East, we have the best safety room. Yes. But that could be a little bit question mark. Like, we know it's going to be Peppers. Ducker make a comeback. We know about Pettis. We know about Jalen Hawkins. We know much about the rookie Craig Woodson. And then we got Josh Mickens, who is on the PUP list. But are there any guys?
And Marcus Epps, too.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to be a competitive position, considering that safety is probably going to be one of our better positions?
What I'm curious most about is Epps and Duggar. Is it just a race on who's showing us that they're healthier the quickest? Because I think they're both coming off of an injury. I don't think Epps was. Can't say for sure. I don't know if he had a surgery as well as Duggar.
He had a torn ACL for Las Vegas in week 3, and it was ruled out for the rest of the season.
And did he do
on a 1-year deal?
Was he on OTAs or anything as well? I don't remember hearing
I
his name at any camp or anything.
I don't think I got any reports on EPS for training for OTAs as far as I'm concerned.
Gotcha. Okay. I still feel solid that we signed Duggar. He's been a mainstay kind of guy for us for a little bit. I feel good about Duggar. Give me 1 second. I'm going to still talk, but I'm going to let my dog out for a quick second here, guys. So I feel good about Duggar because of we signed him to the contract. He played through injury for us last year. You coming, baby? Come on, baby. He played through injury for us last year, and I think he's got a lot of. I think if they got rid of him, I think that's going to be a major cap hit, and
Yeah, it is going to be a major cap hit.
so there's like, I mean, you could guess, of course, trade him, but no, I think Duggar just battled injuries last year. It was tough. It wasn't a good situation for anybody. He was missing Peppers a majority of the year last year due to his circumstances, which I don't really want to get into
Which
totally.
are too controversial to say, and they're basically false.
Right, and he was everything he was found not guilty of, except for what he did admit to, like
which
doing,
we will not say.
Everybody likes to party, okay, but you know, love Jabril Peppers though.
But as a captain, you're not showing a good role model for
correct.
The younger.
You know, it's tough. But no matter what, he's looking. I think Peppers is a guy. We saw him at the end of the Forged in Foxborough episode this past week. If you have not seen it, check it out. It's worth it. Gotta let my buddy in. Hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry. Dog dad problems. Sorry, guys. He Peppers, I think, is just looking to get himself like, I'm on the right track. I'm straight and narrow now. I need to go back and be the leader that I know I can be. I'm not too worried about him. I feel Duggar, Peppers are for sure. And then when we're getting into Hawkins, I hear they like Hawkins a lot. He's shown decent flashes. We just don't know for sure. I felt like with Peppers, like not being totally in the mix, I just don't think he really stepped up too much. But last year was just, as we've mentioned, a disaster. Pettis, he was more of an impact guy than anything. My main guy, though, is Craig Woodson. Love Craig Woodson. I think he was one of the best picks we had in that draft. I know he wasn't a main known guy, but I love him. So here's how I think it's going to play out. As long as he remains healthy, Kyle Duggar. I'm going to say Jabril Peppers. I'm curious about Marcus Epps. I just want to see. He's not listed on anything, so I lied. He's was he on PUP? I'm drawing a blank here. I'm sorry, buddy.
Or Kyle Duggar?
No. Epps, was he on? No. I got my safeties mixed up. It was Makins. It was Makins that was on the.
Yeah, it was Makins.
So we're gonna see Epps. We're gonna see Duggar. And hopefully, it's really gonna be Epps and Hawkins is gonna be my real question mark for that spot. And shoot, honestly, it's a 3-person spot here for me. Epps, Hawkins, and Pettis. Who's going to be the fourth safety out of this room? Like, that's kind of where I'm sitting. Duggar, Peppers are locks. Woodson is obviously a lock. And then somebody here has got to be the fourth guy that might keep a fifth. And on top of that, obviously Brendan Schooler. He's listed as a safety. We know he's our special teams god. He's our dude. So we can't get rid of him. I think it'll be all right. I mean, it's definitely there's nothing wrong with having too many good options, or too many comfortable options at least.
Yeah, but now let's transition over to the who do you think who maybe are 3 candidates who are definitely going to be on the hot seat and have the potential to break out. I'll start with you, PW. Who are your 3 guys who could break out, and who are 3 guys who are definitely on the hot seat and are potentially going to get cut?
Okay. All right. So I want to be as controversial as I possibly can be.
Go ahead.
So I want to say, where do I begin here? Okay. So I think Caden Wallace is going to step up. I think Darian Lowe being on pup is going to benefit him. He might show that he can be a decent left tackle or play swing tackle. I think just being under the guidance of Morgan Moses, as well as Doug Marone, having that lead, somebody coaching him, working beside him. I just got a feeling with Caden Wallace, he's going to step up this training camp. My next guy, I'm going to say I'm excited for this because I felt we did not hear much about him. Lan Larison. He's not necessarily a breakout because it's his first year with us, but I think he's going to be in the running to be something decent on this team. We all talk about Chisholm, but we all know he was the second UDFA outside of Chisholm that everybody was like, yo, they got him. He was definitely very good. McDaniels loves to do his running back by committees. I think the four-headed monster of Ramondre, Henderson, as well as Gibson and Larison, all the sons is what I call them because they all end in sons, would definitely be pretty dope. Finally, Jalen Polk. I'm going to die on this hill. I think Jalen Polk got a really, really, really awful hand last year, and I think all of you are going to hate me. I don't really, frankly, give a shit. Look, he did very well in training camp last year. He got dealt a bad hand. He basically went from being somebody we thought was going to be reliable to watching his coaching staff basically turn on him when he thought he had a touchdown. Then they flipped up and saying he's got a mental hump he needs to get over, as opposed to saying, I should have stepped up more and fought for him for saying that he should have got that touchdown or whatever. Just make him feel like he, belongs or coach him better. I felt like when you don't feel like you're cared for, you don't care. It's just like any job you work. If your boss treats you like crap, you're going to be act like, why should you care? Look, he has a better shot to me than Baker. And I think I just want to see what he can do with Drake May because I personally did not feel we saw more of him with Brissett than we did with him with May. And I want to see him with May because that's what we were seeing in training camp last year. So let me see that mix up together, and maybe Polk makes this team. It's put up or shut up time, just like Cole Strange. I want to see him step up and show he can make this team. So if you guys never want me on this podcast again, that is okay with me. I'm going to stand on the Jalen Polk hill, waving my flag, hoping he turns it around.
Yeah, for my breakout candidates, you got I know Jalen Polk, and I know that we were hard on Jalen Polk because of that post he made on Instagram, but that was because there was lack of direction on the coaching staff, so I would blame them less on. I would give 25% blame to Polk, but 75% to the coaching staff. That's for sure. But for my breakout candidates, you gave a good list. For me, I'm gonna say Keon White has to have potential to break out. We know that he was this close to having like 10 sacks, but because he played way too conservative instead of playing way too aggressive, his production diminished. And basically, Covington has zero clue on what he was doing with him. So I basically think that Keon White, now with a better coaching staff, he's going to ball out.
And a guy that was a defensive line coach as your defensive coordinator, even though Covington was, this guy has been a defensive line coach for years, as opposed to Covington, who's I think was only doing that for 4 or 5 years.
4 years with the Patriots.
Right. So I think a guy with experience with all kinds of linemen, I think it's going to help Keon White for sure.
Yeah. My second is definitely going to be Alex Austin. Even he was a seventh rounder. He shocked waves when we claimed him off of waivers, intercepting Josh Allen in that second matchup against the Bills in 2023, week 17. And he has been, unfortunately, he did deal with that injury against the Jets. He was okay, but I think that now with a better supporting cast, in the cornerback room, I think that Alex Austin has the potential to ball out. So I am excited to see if Alex Austin has the potential to basically be on the active roster and also get that contract he deserves. So I'm really excited about Alex Austin. The third one, this is gonna be a tricky one because there's so many good there's so many good candidates, but I'm gonna have to say Caden Wallace has the potential to break out, even though that they did him dirty by trying to convert him from right tackle to left tackle, even though he did play right tackle in Penn State across from Olufashanu. And if he can play that right tackle position really well under the guidance of Morgan Moses, he's definitely going to be a starter right tackle. And he loves to get coached hard, if I'm not mistaken, in Forge and Foxborough. So I think that... Wait, go ahead.
Give me a defensive guy, because I just realized I had 3 offense. You hit me with the defensive guy, and you took my guy that I just used. So hit me with somebody. Come on, give me somebody on defense.
Oh, give me some. Oh, on defense,
because you just had Austin and Keon White, and I just had 3 guys that were on offense. Actually, so hit me with one more defensive guy.
One candidate, and that's Christian Ellis, because we gave him a contract extension. He did well for the.
Amen, dude.
Maybe he didn't do great in coverage, but at least he's been progressing well. He did spend time with the Eagles, but now with the Patriots, I think he does have the potential. So Chris Ellis is my third option for defense and offense. But now let's head over to hot seats.
All right. I think we can just agree on the hot seat here. So
yep.
Let's rip off the Band-Aid. Baker, Javon Baker, Cole Strange. And then we talked about it briefly, Bell, but at the same time, I think there's somebody else that we could use. Bell is just, it was more of the drop aspect in OTAs. Yeah. He could still be developed. I don't want to say he's totally on the hot seat. Yeah, really, though, the guy I would think might be the final hot seat would be, you know what? I can make an argument between 2. Maybe Antonio Gibson, say if Larison steps up, but I'd want to keep him for having an additional vet in the running back room. And then my last guy, just to throw, I know we said 3, but I mean, it's kind of hard with that third one. We just know we feel really good with where Baker's at. Let's make a point with Baker. Baker, we just want him to be a pro. We just want him to show we don't hate Baker. We all wish he can do well. It's just where this is trending. You can't be celebrating in training camp. We need you to make the plays, get back in the huddle, do what you got to do, and just show you can be here. That's all we're asking for. I want him to succeed. I don't have any hatred or anything towards him. I was very excited when we drafted him.
Yeah, it's just that because of his his not being disciplined and saying that he could make people stand from wheelchairs. Basically, he didn't show that, and that's really right. That's just really dumb on this end, especially for like a Gen Z type of player.
The worst of that was the people that said, like, I don't even know if I should say the joke on here or not, but basically when he made that comment, they said, yeah, they would get up just to turn the TV off because of that was the best comments I've seen on that comeback. But I will also say, you just get drafted by a team. It was kind of dope to be like, yeah, this is the stuff I can do. It just sucks when you don't get to show it. And you kind of let everybody down kind of thing. So I just want him to mature, and hopefully he shows that in training camp. That's all we can wish for. But right now he's going to sit on a hot seat, as well as Cole Strange. And Cole Strange is more so, I don't foresee us cutting him, but this is it. This is your year. And if you even if you make the team, you don't do well for us this year, we've got to move on.
We're going to let you be a free agent.
Did you have anybody for your final one? I know I threw a couple of names in the ring. But
one of them we did mention this off stream, and that is Tabai. And Tabai did decent when he had to step up when so many players went down, but he's not your starting linebacker. And the fact the comments he said about the to the fans was really unacceptable. Basically, the fans paid all of this money to see you play well, and you didn't show it in that biggest game. Well, yeah, it was a primetime game considering the NFL, considering that it was on NFL Network, and basically you flat out disgust us with your performance in a 40-7 loss against the Chargers. So no to Jalan Tavai for me.
Right. I get it, man. I feel like the coaching staff has some sort of infatuation with him. I don't know. I think he might make it. The other guy, last guy I just thought of, Mapu. Mapu might be.
Yes, Mapu.
That's another one. I like him. I like the potential. I don't know what they're like. What's the plan here?
I don't know what they're doing with him. Is he a safety? Is he a linebacker?
They moved him to linebacker officially on the depth chart thing, the unofficial depth chart, but he's listed as a linebacker now. So I don't know if that just helps being a coverage linebacker, but we'll have to see. I personally, I think that's really if you guys in the chat have anybody else that you can think of or have any surprise cuts, please let us know. That'd be pretty cool.
Leave those in the comment down below once the live stream's finished. And by the way, guys, if you haven't already, please make sure that you smash the like button and hit subscribe. It's completely free and helps supports the channel. Try to make it up to 100 subs.
Let's get there, guys.
Please make it to 100 as soon as possible, either before the season starts. It would be very helpful. But let's transition over quickly to the Kendrick Bourne video, because I know that it was originally going to be a short stream, but since that we did a little dragging out with the training camp because training camp is on the way.
It's so much to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about the Kendrick. Well, I wouldn't just say the Kendrick Bourne video because there's so many videos of him. Let's talk about the Drake Maye workout down in North Carolina. So, what are your thoughts? So basically, I felt like Drake Maye did a really good job of hosting a workout down in North Carolina for all of the receivers. Even though Booty wasn't there, Bakey wasn't there, Chisholm wasn't there, we wouldn't blame them. But Polk was there, which I think that there's some sort of like connection with Drake Maye and Polk. And I've seen that chemistry last season when they went to a Bruins game together, but it didn't show on film.
Right. Unfortunately, to quickly add to that with the Polk thing, like I said, I just don't think they put them two together enough. I felt like it was mostly Brissett and Polk, like hold this over until we can get Drake on the field. We finally get Drake on the field, and you took him away from both of each other. It's basically like I don't know, just like a forced separation that we didn't get to see them work together. But yes, no, I think it's awesome that Drake basically had his honeymoon. OTAs were all finished up. And this is these types of things. I know it happened just a little bit ago, but it is awesome when you can get your guys coming together. Let's work this out. Let's get familiar, get comfortable on our routes. Let's individually do like techniques that maybe you haven't thought of, or here's something you can add mid game that can help you get that additional burst to get to the end zone. And just all around, hey, we're just teammates. We just want to hang out and throw the football around, catch it, and if it can make you better doing that, that's even cooler. I wanted to mention that there were a couple guys that I know everybody talked about, the mainstays: Kyle Williams, Polk, Henry, as well as Mario Douglas, and Ramondre. But Terrell Jennings and Jaheim Bell were also surprisingly there. Terrell Jennings had the fro. I did not recognize him with the fro, and it took me really staring at my screen to figure it out that was him. Same deal with Jaheim Bell. He was there on day 3, and so it's good to just see. Hey, Jaheim Bell didn't have the best OTAs, but hey, I'm going to come here. Let's try to get my chemistry down with you in case I'm needed to step up. And clearly, we don't have Hooper for the start of training camp here. So maybe this is a good indication, let's get the ball rolling on Bell. No, this is chemistry building, leading into camp. Familiarity is super important. Is it like make or break difference? No, but it's great, the bonding. It's great seeing the leadership that we saw from Diggs, the guy that everybody says he's going to be a diva, a hot case. No, he was leading Kyle Williams. He was making Bourne, Pop, and Williams do push-ups because they made a bet and he won the bet and he's made these guys do push-ups. So like it's just little things of that sort that like, you know, he's holding guys accountable, he's doing things like that. It's inspiring to see. And, you know, on top of that, getting to see that transition into like what's going to be here for training camp. You got to see a little bit of that also in Forge and Foxborough, where they showed that at the end. It's all chemistry building. It's all these guys putting in the work to get where they need to. Nobody wants to hear about the guy that's showing up to camp out of shape. I think Vrabel's inspired these guys enough that we're not going to hear that. We're not going to hear any guys causing drama right out the gate. I think we've got everybody there already signed up. There's nobody holding out. There's nothing walking in here that's going to be a disaster. It's guys wanting to put in work and get things done. And yeah, I mean, I think seeing that Kendrick Bourne video, that's what we saw. Guys wanting to put in work, get this done. Let's get this right, and let's have a great year. Let's start the season off right. Let's start training camp off right. So I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I'm really excited for what the chemistry, and I think that Mike Vrabel did say that it's important to take advantage of that break from that time, from the final day of minicamp to like the first day of training camp, and he expects all players to be back in shape, ready to go for training camp. Because if you go back to training camp in the worst shape possible, you're eligible to be cut from the team. So I think that what Drake Maye is doing, especially taking that next step as a leader, I think that's really good on him. It's really good for the offense, and it just shows that Drake Maye has the potential to be a leader. It's just that time and time again, as a player, trying to be accountable with one another, because there was none of it last season, and I think that heading towards the right direction, and I think that's really awesome. And we did see some clips of Drake Maye and Ramondre Stevenson making plays in the water too, especially.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was a great chemistry from that Maye and Stevenson play in water.
Yeah, the recreation of that on a jet ski is pretty awesome. So I mean, like, I don't know, it's just fun to see. Like we root for these guys. We all want them. We root for them on every Sunday, every game that we watch them. But we also like just seeing camaraderie, and that's the best part about sports. That's behind the scenes that we don't really think too much about, is building this chemistry, building camaraderie, and just dudes being dudes, having fun out there. When you're having fun out there, you sometimes just play your best. I felt like guys like Peyton Manning and Rodgers for years, it was just like, or even Joe Montana, like just shoot, just give me the ball, let's get out there and just have fun, let's play and make something happen, and that's what they did. And then you got guys like Tom Brady who are, let's really get this done. I don't know if it was ever fun for Brady, it seemed like, except when we were winning. So you get two sides of that. But no, man, it's awesome. I think Drake's done a fantastic job, and I think his cadences that we saw from Forge and Foxborough, he's showing he's ready to get this going. As he said, he's trying to take the bull by the horns and be what this team needs him to be. And I think the team itself is also trying to do that for him. There's not an if this will work. There's not a hope that this, like, we're going to try a couple things and hopefully he's our guy. No, we have to make this work. He is our guy, is what they are trying to establish. They're not trying to put an if in his head or anybody's head. He is our guy. Let's make this work, is what the general vibe I'm getting from teammates, from coaches, and I'm excited. And then we saw it firsthand from the front office too, drafting guys that are going to help him. So I think all around this team is invested in Drake, and let's hope, let's pray, let's do what we got to do to be inspired for him. And I'm comfortable. He's just like Will Campbell. Maye's the guy I want us to take. So I've got two guys under my belt. I'm super ecstatic that we have here, and I'm ready to watch him develop for the next 15 years, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. And that's going to be it for today's live stream. Thank you so much, Paperwaves, a.k.a. Tyler, even though I don't generally get to use
you revealed me. No, it's okay.
Well, no, that's fine. But
that's all good, man.
Thank you so much for having us today, man. I know originally Austin couldn't make it because unfortunately he's dealing with some illness, but hopefully he should be back by Friday, because I think for Friday we will get break down like the second episode of Forge and Forever, since I don't think we did it for the first episode. So I think this should be a fun one. But
Yeah.
if you want to see that, please make sure you smash the like button and hit subscribe. It's completely free. It helps supports the channel as always. And as usual, leave a comment down below what your thoughts on this episode. We would really love to hear your thoughts. And as always, go Pats.
Go Pats, baby.